going to hear from Jonathan Allan. Jonathan is the sales director for Channel 4. Now, Jonathan, I think we're also having a chat, aren't we?
We are.
So why don't you just come on up here, and I'll introduce you as you get settled. Interesting, you're coming right after Machinima. It's interesting.
Yeah, very good. I think we need a Machinima season on E4.
That's what you need, a Machinima
season. I'm talking to Philip later on.
That's exactly right. So, Jonathan, you are a director of sales, and you lead the corporation's sales team of 200 people. I didn't realize you had 200 people.
Yes, I wasn't quite sure what they all did when I arrived, but they're all very important. Good morning, everyone.
And you also are responsible for generating over £1 billion in annual revenue across spot advertising, online, product placement, et cetera. So what we're going to talk, so welcome.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about really how Channel 4 is moving into this age of sort of more digital and different ad forms and all those kind of things. And I think basically we should sort of I should start by asking you, TV, you heard what I said this morning about Trevor Beatty saying,
yes.
30 seconds, 60 seconds spot, it's dead. It's all dead. We got to go to 5 seconds. They don't want longer. It's all about snackable, tapas society. Everybody says TV advertising is under pressure. It's obviously not growing. How do you, as a broadcaster, where you have obviously, the lion's share of your money is still coming from the 30-second spot, how do you transition, or how do you bring in the other advertising? Give us kind of a macro perspective of where we're going with advertising and television.
So I think I do agree with Trevor to a degree, and maybe we'll come back to that a bit later on. But I think the second length around advertising, it feels, if you talk to John Lewis about that, then it feels like long form ads and even longer form, short form content for advertisers feels to be more important. But from a macro perspective, I think TV is a very robust media from a viewing perspective. We heard this morning it's gone up to 4 hours. It's also very robust from a revenue perspective because I think it's proven still to be very effective in this day and age. So I think while it's not a double-digit growth media from a linear spot perspective, I think we move with the economy. I think we're pretty pleased after probably 4 or 5 years ago, everybody's talking about the death of television. It certainly just hasn't happened. And we're pretty confident about the future. But I think you're probably looking at growth in linear spot of between 2 and 3% over the next 5 years, not 10 and 15.
Yep.
So I think for us to be growing faster than potentially the economy, we've got to find adjacent areas to move into to drive more growth. So product placement, content, sponsorship in the kind of linear world. But then in the digital world, growing for on-demand, second screen apps, using data to power up and make our digital kind of IP-connected TV more powerful and more effective for advertisers is really important. And I think, if you look at our revenues this year, we think the TV market's probably going to be flat, but our digital revenues in Q1 are up 45% year on year.
Really?
Yeah.
In Q1 of this year? Wow. Up 45%. What do you attribute that mostly to? Is it 4OD, or is it from selling digital ads, or what is it?
It's mainly driven by 4OD, but within that there's ad innovations, which I'll show a few later on, and we launched quite a lot of data-driven products last year, which we tested with a number of advertisers, and we've just signed up 12 partners who are going to invest multi-millions of pounds in our new data products across the next couple of years.
Oh, great. Okay, so should we start a little bit with data and then go to some of your new ads?
Yeah, if you want to, that's
okay.
fine. Yeah.
So with the data thing, you say you've just signed up 12 new partners.
Yeah.
What does that mean? In other words, they're going to take, because you've been collecting data from the 4OD ranks. What is it, 7 million?
7.5. It's growing at 25,000 a day.
25,000 a day.
Yeah,
so you have 7.5 million people have said to you, Jonathan, or Channel 4, we like you enough that we're going to give you our details. So you know who they are, where
age,
they live,
gender, email address,
gender, what they like,
details,
and you can talk to them, essentially.
Yeah. The reason why, the 3 reasons why we did this 2.5 years ago was, 1, to help us understand our viewers better, make better programs. Secondly, to build a community around Channel 4, for which we can have a dialogue and potentially drive loyalty and more viewing to linear Channel 4. And thirdly was to make better products and better services for advertisers through targeting capability. So it's gone incredibly well. I think our targets in the first year were to have 1 or 2 million signed up. We ended the year with 6 million signed up. So it's been about 2.5 years to get to 7.5 million. And we've just put registration on iOS, which is why it's growing so quickly at the moment.
Okay, because iOS, that's going to help. So that data, so then you've got these 12 sponsors, I guess, who've signed up. What are they going to do with that data? How are you going to...
So in the first stage, we're going to move... At the moment, you can only really target by genre. on VOD. So first of all, we're going to put very sophisticated demographic targeting available on VOD, and then move on to a more segmented approach based on attitudinal statements and also behavioural behaviour within 4OD as a platform in terms of what programs they watch and what they like. But also introducing kind of maybe third-party data to help amend and append that data with likes of experience.
Okay. So should we show some of the? Do you want to queue up the ad formats, or do you want to?
Yeah. So I think just as a kind of lead on from the data, I think what is now happening is we also have a raft of ad innovations on 4OD, which use the innate interactivity you have on 4OD that you don't have on linear. And we've probably got about 8 to 10 different ways of using the interactive bit of the IP. And what we're now doing is integrating the data we have with the ad innovations. So the latest thing we've launched is Adapt. So then you can basically tailor the ad to the age, the gender and location of the viewer, and then change the ad according to what they want to watch. So if you're a young man in Leeds, we can run a John Lewis ad showing kind of shoes and jeans. If you're a female in London, we can show you maybe, to be very stereotypical, handbags and a skirt, and make it a little bit more tailored. And I think that's the first stage.
That's the danger of all this.
It is a little bit, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think we need to be very careful about what we want to buy and make sure that we, through targeting, make it more relevant and right than not. But I think, I'm also going around talking to creative agencies at the moment, which is, at the moment, we're kind of overlaying interactivity and data at the end of the process. So usually the ad's been made, and therefore potentially a little bit clunky in terms of what we do. I mean, what I'd love to do is get the creative agencies thinking about, if interactivity was embedded in the ad at the start, what would that mean for the creative process and what would that mean for the ad? And if you're targeting 16-24s and Made in Chelsea's now watch more through 4OD than potentially on E4 some episodes.
Really? So it's catch-up.
Yeah,
mostly.
so there's a kind of cohort coming through, and in the near future it may be that more your advertising should start interactively rather than
Yeah, well, it'd be great if the advertising was more interactive and actually more integrated. So it's almost like the conversation we had when television started saying, oh well, let's make the television program, and then now we'll make the website. It's sort of you need to make it more integrated,
Precisely.
so it's not going to work. So now this one we're going to show first is
so this is just some of the techniques that hopefully inspire you all to think about how you can use interactivity in TV advertising online.
Okay, so let's roll that one.
At Channel 4, we're all about making change happen. Just take a look at what we're doing in the digital space. 4OD is the #1 commercial VOD platform for young audiences and reaches over a third of 16 to 34s every month. And we're still growing. Over 70% of the UK own a portable connected device. Views of our content on the move have tripled year on year, and we're adding over 10,000 new website registrations daily to the existing 6 million strong database. And we're developing fast, innovative new ways to connect messaging to our viewers, realising the benefits of this enhanced engagement. We've already developed Ad Bloom, which provides microsite functionality within the 4OD frame. Ad Elect, letting the viewer choose which ad version they want to watch. Ad Extend, giving the viewer the chance to click to watch an extended version of the ad. And Ad Interact, allowing a whole host of data capture opportunities. And there's now even more. This year we launched Ad Pause, where the ad appears when the content is paused. Ad Link, offering a range of additional links on the pre-roll. Ad Social, allowing social networking integration, and Ad Mix, where we work directly with you for a more tailored solution. And because we're Channel 4, we won't stop there. From new platform launches to brand new ad formats and audience-targeted solutions, we're continually innovating to make 4OD even more attractive viewing for our audience and for you.
Well, it looks really interesting. What advertisers have been interested by this? I mean, are you finding it's fast-moving consumer goods? Is it? I mean,
A whole raft. I mean, it's not defined by category.
Really?
It's, I think it's about the role of the communication. So I think, if people want to have an engagement, they've got they want to drive earned media from what they're doing, so they're not connecting to Facebook. Films love the Ad Extend because it's basically free additional content, which is viewer selected.
Yeah, because you click, off you
Yeah,
go.
so, you know, if they're running out on linear TV, it'll probably cost them 6 times as much,
Yeah.
but on 4OD, it's pretty cost effective.
Yeah.
So, probably about 10 or 15% of our VOD revenue now has some kind of innovative
10%
format.
or
10 to 15%
10 to 15%,
in average
okay.
month. And actually, we're limited more by capacity than we are by demand. So we now have to find new people to work with to cope with the demand we're getting at the moment.
The demand for these interactive.
So there's obviously quite a big lot of creative work that goes on behind them. So.
There you go. Creative agencies, they need more people.
Need help.
Yeah. And they'll pay you. So do you find that, that it's working? I mean, how can you measure if it's working? I suppose you can, because you know exactly who's clicking, you know when they're clicking, you know what they're watching.
Yeah, so I think...
So you can charge more.
Interactive formats, then, we see engagement rates of 10 times what a normal would be, up to 10 times. We've also, with our databases, we've merged them with loyalty card data. So now we do single source effectiveness studies on 4OD. So we do control cells, and we know, obviously, who's in the 4OD database, and we match that with a loyalty card database. We can see who's bought and who hasn't, depending on who's watched the advertising and not. So, and that's shown ROI uplifts of 3 times of normal advertising.
So if this continues, how important to your advertising bucket is this going to be? I mean, is this going to be... VOD is big, right? It's growing.
Yeah, I think, again...
But can you translate this? I suppose my question is that's big, and it's growing.
Yeah.
Can you translate that to the channel or not? It doesn't really work that way. Or
yeah,
you have to put the channel on an online...
Yeah, so about 3% of our total viewing is on 4OD now, so it's still relatively small. We think it's going to get to about 15% by 2020.
Okay.
It's about 5% of revenue at the moment, and again, that will probably go to 15 or 20 in 5 or 6 years' time. I think the leap we need to make, and obviously Sky AdSmart is launched this year, which is obviously using the set-top box data. So in the same way, the laptop on your tablet has data capability and IP capability, smart TV, set-top boxes, YouView will also have data capability. And therefore, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 15 years' time, there will be a leap to all TV advertising being ad-served and data-driven. Right. And we're getting ready now for that transition
to happen. Now, second screen, I know you mentioned that in the beginning. It's sort of important, right? I mean, we're seeing, particularly with your demographic.
Yeah.
Most people are watching television with one of these or one of those as they're watching. How does that change, what you're doing? You're not working with Shazam or are you, or who are you working with?
So I think from a macro strategic perspective, we are structured very differently as a broadcaster. So we have multi-platform commissioning teams. We don't have a separate digital team that sits over here. People commission drama, and they commission drama on a multi-platform basis.
True.
So that's our approach to second screen is very much from a content-first perspective. So £1 Million Drop is a great quiz show, but it's also an online app and a tablet application.
Which did really well, but it was sort of, I keep thinking, what's the next thing? Because it was like £1 Million Drop worked, I think it was 12% or 15% of the people watching did the game, which I thought was stunning. But it's like, okay, now what? What's next? Does second screen really work, I guess?
Yeah, I think the jury's out. I think Z-Box probably, who's got Z-Box? Who uses Z-Box in the room?
No, there's a question, who has the Z-Box app? Hands up. Okay, now how many people actually use it? Yeah, see?
Yeah.
That's the problem. I'm the same way. I've got it on here, but don't tell Anthony. I haven't used it for a while, and he'll kill me.
Well, Jay Hunt loves it, so our Chief Creative Officer, she loves it. She's on it all the time. I think she's a masochist, she likes to see Twitter about all the programs. I think that the jury's out, but I think if we do second screen, we want to do it right. And not all programs are right for second screen. I think I've got a slide actually up here, which is kind of, if you're watching Homeland, you're watching Homeland, and you want to be engaged with it, and if you're on the second screen, you're going to miss what goes on in the program.
Exactly, because there's a drama.
The profile, obviously lower amount of total tweets, and this is from Second Sync, who we work with quite closely, who have got a great bit of software which analyses Twitter and TV, and I think the relationship between Twitter and TV is huge and growing.
Oh, I see. So as it comes on, there's a lot of tweets.
Yeah, so watch it, all this kind of stuff, and then at the end it's about what happened and stuff. Whereas Made in Chelsea, much younger audience, much more gossipy program, much more engaging. So I think, some people say the more social buzz you generate from a program, the better environment that is to advertise. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think there are different environments for different things, and I think you use them in a different way. This helps us understand what the program is, what it's doing, and how consumers are engaging with it. So we do a very different second screen app around Made in Chelsea, and we might not even do one around Homeland potentially. So I think you have to be quite careful and link it to the content. However, we are, very interested in developing a powerful, compelling second screen app for Channel 4 E4 that works in the right environment at the right time, and hopefully then that allows advertisers to get involved with that. And I think the key thing from a commercial perspective is, once you've got a TV and second screen, the link to transaction is incredibly powerful.
Right.
And again, you may not transact within the program, but if you can tag stuff, you can log stuff, then a quick click to buy at the end, it becomes an incredibly direct response, transactional-based medium.
And there's more revenue
and
for you.
That's hugely powerful, I think. So
okay.
I think for us, a lot of people talk about the threat to TV, but it's an incredibly resilient media, and it's about to get powered up by the internet hugely. And I think as long as we invest in that future, take some risks, some of the second screen will work, some of it won't, but it's finding those new ways
How
of
big
working.
do you think transactional revenue will be going forward?
From TV?
Yeah, a couple of percent?
I have no. I mean, it's very difficult. If you imagine how fast online retail is growing at the moment in all sectors, if we can create a strong link between TV advertising and that online retail spend, which I'm pretty sure is very strong now through econometric modelling or however you measure the effectiveness of your advertising, TV will provide a massive halo effect. If then that halo effect is also translated into direct transaction, and you can create that link through your ad servers, then it's going to be big.
Now, we didn't talk about your Tribes research, but you've done something called Tribes Live. Could just that's interesting because that's these are kids who are part of your sort of focus group. They're kind of an online focus group, and you can actually interact with them. It's not like you have to bring them into London and get them in a room. I mean, they're actually online with you, and they're actually sending you Skype messages and things like that. Yeah. How is that influencing what you're doing? And then I want you to also see if you can transition into what's happening with mobile viewing, because a lot of these kids are, they're not watching TV on the TV. They're watching it.
Yeah. So Tribes has been going for a while. It's a huge youth segmentation, and we kind of put all the kids into different groups like chavs and skaters. I'm not sure we tell the people that are in the chav group they are chavs, but
I was going to say,
maybe
dear
they're proud.
chav.
I don't know. But that was a fixed thing. It was a standard research project. You do it every 2 years. You refresh it, and through the database, we've actually recruited a live community of tribes and then segmented them live. And so that's been really powerful. So basically, we can ask them and have a dialogue with them around our programming, but also advertisers and agencies can also ask us questions, put their brands in front of them, put their advertising in front of them, and get their point of view. So it's really quite a much more powerful tool in real time, and also kind of builds this community of Channel 4 and E4, and gets people more involved with us as a business and directing what we do as a business. And I think that kind of the open sourcing that David talked about at The Guardian is something we're also interested in. In terms of short, very quickly, I think we're probably out of time. But I think this comes back to what Trevor Beattie said. Channel 4 in a linear world commissions, half hour, an hour programs. We have a schedule. That's how it works. In a mobile world, I can see, 4 hours of TV a day. I reckon we can get another half hour a day out of 4G, out of Wi-Fi, out of mobile. But the new content, but the content and formats for that content may well be very different. So they may be more snackable, shorter form. So we're now thinking about what does Channel 4 do in a short form world. And the machinima guy is very interesting because that's the kind of way we need to start to work to really engage with the youth audience who have 5 or 10 minutes on the train, on the bus. But there's still value of Channel 4 commissioning great content for that format, that environment.
That'd be a whole new commissioning team, basically, because the short form content's very different than, maybe Chelsea.
It is. I mean, I'm sure some of the commissioners can do a very good job at doing that, but it may well be that we need new skills.
Yeah, very interesting. Now, I think we have time for questions from the audience. Yes, I'm getting the nod. So if you have a question for Jonathan, we'll take the lights up. Does anyone have a question for him? There's one here. If there's a mic. Yep. Anyone else that we can queue up? No?
Hi, Jonathan. You were speaking about a kind of Channel 4/E4 second screen app. Were you talking about an app for Channel 4 or E4 as a whole, or were you talking about your kind of array of apps for different programs? Or were you talking about people actually downloading that branded app?
Yeah, we're not really decided what we're going to do yet, so we're testing a few things. So I think quite a few things are in alpha, probably not even beta yet. So at the moment, it's very much content-based. you know,
Are they show apps or are they apps for the whole channel?
So we have apps for programs at the moment.
Right.
You know, there is an option probably to have a Channel 4 and E4 app. That jury's out on whether we do that or not yet. Or you go for a Z-Box multi-platform, multi-broadcaster partnership. So I think, you know, we're pretty laying our bets across the floor at the moment. We're not quite sure what the best opportunity is going to be. So we're just trialing a lot of different things to see how it works from a viewer perspective. And then we'll probably decide over the next year or two what way to go.
Okay, so you haven't signed up Z-Box yet or anybody else?
No.
Yeah.
Although we have worked with Z-Box.
Yeah, but you might work with the second. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think at the moment, you know, we'd work with anybody really. That's what we're here to do. You know, I think that's part of Channel 4 really. We're here to work with as many people as we can and commission content from them.
Right.
So.
Any last question for Jonathan? No? No? All right, great. Well, listen, it's been really interesting. Sorry, was there one? Sorry, what, right there, sorry. I do apologize. I was looking out there.
People used to talk about the battle for the living room and Xbox and Sony and all these other people, and then the innovation of tablets and smartphones seems to have kind of slightly made that irrelevant to an extent. So I just wondered, do you think there is still a battle? And if so, who's going to win?
Yeah, I think there's a massive kind of ethnographic kind of just reality, which is most people, most of the time, get home from work or school and sit in front of the TV. So I think, you know, that is going to exist for a long time in the future, and therefore that's still the vast majority of our money is made from people doing that. So yeah, I think there is still a battle for the living room. Who's going to win? I think there's a massive advantage that the kind of terrestrial broadcasters, terrestrial brands have. We're known for quality content, for being good curators, of bringing the right stuff to you as viewers. But we can't be complacent. You know, you've got to work incredibly hard. You know, I think the world's moved into a kind of a, you know, you've got all these kind of Netflix, Love Film, that are kind of competitors, but they're also kind of friends of ours, and we would commission content with them and from them. And as a guy from Machinima was saying, it's all about windowing and what do we take when. So yeah, hopefully Channel 4 will still exist in 50 years' time. But you know, we can't sit here just doing what we're doing now to make that assured.
It's not a bad idea, you know, Netflix co-commissioning with Channel 4. I mean, I see that as not a bad idea because it's different windows.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. So House of Cards, you know, how many
yeah.
people watch that in the UK through the Netflix? You know, we obviously buy films, so people see films at cinema, watch them on DVD, and then we still get a good audience to them when they show their terrestrial premiere. Yeah. So
it's all this
frenemies, yes.
Friends and enemies. All right. Yeah, well, listen, on that note, I'm going to thank you.
Thank you very much,
Please
Kate.
join me in thanking
Thank
Jonathan
you.
Allan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.